My cousin took my promotion credit while I was out sick, so I showed receipts, took his title, and left him to apologize publicly. I'm a 28-year-old guy, and I've always been the dependable one, the one who shows up, stays late, and never complains. I don't say that to sound noble. I say it because it was expected of me. My parents raised me to believe that reliability was the highest virtue, so I became the guy everyone counted on, the one who stayed behind to clean up after family events, the one who covered weekend shifts, the one who said yes even when I was burning out. My cousin, Travis, was the opposite. Flashy, loud, always dressed like he was going to be photographed, he had this way of charming people, making them feel like they were the most important person in the room. But once their back was turned, his whole tone would shift. I saw it happen more than once. Still, people loved him, especially at work. We both ended up at the same company after college, totally different departments, but under the same umbrella. I climbed slowly through results, always delivering more than expected. Travis schmoozed his way into every happy hour, every leadership lunch, every VP's radar. When the senior manager role opened up in my division, I felt for the first time in years like maybe my work would finally get the recognition it deserved. I didn't say it out loud, but deep down, I believed I was a top contender. My team supported me. My numbers were strong. Then I got sick, really sick. A severe bacterial infection landed me in the hospital for over 2 weeks, the kind of illness that makes you question if your body will ever feel normal again. I told myself my track record would hold, that my absence wouldn't matter. What I didn't know was, Travis had already seen his opening, and he was preparing to take everything I'd built while I was lying in a hospital bed with an IV in my arm and a fever that made the walls blur. Travis volunteered to cover my responsibilities. At first, I was genuinely grateful. I even texted him, "Thanks, man. Appreciate you looking out." He replied with a thumbs-up emoji and a heart. I didn't know that behind the scenes, he wasn't just stepping in. He was erasing me. He started by taking over my team's client presentations. But instead of saying, "This is Tyler's work," he presented them as if they were his own, tweaking a few colors, changing a title slide, and delivering it with that performative charisma he was known for. By the time upper management saw the results, they thought Travis had not only stepped up, but had masterminded the entire strategy. He deleted my name from shared documents, rebranded decks I'd spent weeks perfecting, even forwarded internal emails to himself, and removed my original contributions, silently, efficiently, like a thief in a suit. My team noticed subtle things at first. Didn't Tyler write this? Someone had asked in a Slack thread, only to be met with radio silence. But Travis had already started cozying up to the VP, sitting in meetings I was supposed to lead. A week into recovery, I mustered the strength to check my email on my phone. The hospital lights were dim, and my hand shook as I scrolled. That's when I saw the subject line. "Congratulations, Travis. Well-deserved recognition." There were dozens of replies, leadership praising his innovation, teammates offering support, even HR chiming in about next steps for the role I had once dreamed of. My vision blurred, not from the fever, but from pure disbelief. I wasn't just sick. I was being erased in real time, and the worst part, no one seemed to notice, when I finally returned to work, pale 20 pounds lighter. And still on antibiotics, I came back thinking reason would prevail. I walked into that office with shaky legs, but a clear plan. Sit down with HR, explain everything, and show them the timeline. I thought they'd listen. I thought someone would care. But when I told them what had happened, how Travis had taken credit, altered files, removed my name, I got polite nods and blank stares. One of them said, "We'll look into it," in the same tone you use to tell a kid their drawing is nice. Then came the kicker. Travis strolled into my cubicle with a wide grin and said, "Team's been missing you, bro. Glad you're feeling better." He clapped my shoulder like we were buddies, like he hadn't just stolen my future. He was good. Too good he made it look like we were in this together, like he'd done me a favor. And worst of all, people believed him. I started digging around quietly, carefully, one afternoon. I opened one of the decks he was still using. I froze. It was mine, word for word. Visuals, datasets, even the quirky joke I'd written in the speaker notes. He was still using my work, just presenting it like it was his dot. I printed it out and walked. Straight to my manager, she glanced at it and said, "Tyler, I know it's frustrating, but maybe you're being a little territorial. We're all a team here." That sentence hit me like a punch to the chest. I realized then no one was going to save me. So I stopped explaining, and I started documenting. I became a ghost in my own department, silent, observant, methodical. Every lunch break, every evening after hours, I combed through the company's shared drives, version histories, and archived emails. I traced every file Travis had touched. I mapped every pitch deck, slide update, Slack thread, and client reply like I was building a case for court, and I found it all. One of the biggest project pitches, the one that supposedly sealed his promotion, was built entirely by me. The original document had my initials in the metadata. The timestamps showed it was created 3 weeks before I got sick. I'd even found early client emails that said, "Thanks, Tyler, great deck." But those same decks had been renamed, scrubbed, and polished by Travis. He replaced my name with his, updated the fonts, changed the footer, but the bones, the brains behind it, all mine. I backed everything up to a secure external drive. Screenshots, PDFs, version logs, even a backup of a Slack thread where a teammate asked, "Didn't Tyler do this already?" A message Travis conveniently deleted a day later. Then I wrote a calm 4-page report. No anger, no accusations, just the timeline. The proof, the truth. I printed it all out, labeled it, indexed it. But I didn't submit it yet, because I knew something was coming up, something that could show everyone live. In real time, exactly who Travis really was. A company-wide meeting was around the corner, and Travis was scheduled to present his work to the entire org, and this time, he wouldn't be the only one with a slide deck. The all-hands meeting was a big deal. Executives, department heads, even the CEO was rumored to be dialing in remotely. Travis was scheduled to present his flagship project, the one that had supposedly revolutionized client engagement. The project I created. I stayed late one night the week before and found the version of the deck he was going to present conveniently stored on the shared drive, labeled final_Travis.pptx. I smiled. He hadn't even changed the structure, just the branding. So I offered to help him. "Hey," I said casually in the break room, "want me to review your slides? Might help to have a second pair of eyes." He grinned like he'd just won another game he didn't even play. "Sure, bro. Appreciate it." I opened the file, made a few tweaks to improve pacing. And then, in 2 critical slides, I quietly swapped in my original versions, complete with time-stamped watermarks, and my full name in the bottom right corner, the day of the meeting. I sat in the second row. Travis strutted up to the podium, cracked a joke that didn't land, and started clicking through the slides. Everything was going smoothly, until slide 7. There it was, my name. In bold, in the bottom corner, Tyler R. created March 2nd, 9:03 a.m. He paused. The room didn't react at first. Then someone near the front leaned in and whispered to a colleague. Another person turned their head. The VP's brow furrowed. Travis cleared his throat. Clicked again. Slide 8, same watermark. Same timestamp. He froze. The silence was loud, the kind that makes your skin crawl. I didn't say a word. I just watched him unravel. Travis let out this awkward the kind people do when they trip in public and hope no one saw. "Wow," he chuckled, eyes darting around. "Looks like there was a formatting glitch. Must have pulled an old draft or something." No one laughed. The VP stared at the screen for a long second before slowly turning to look at me. Not a word, just a raised brow. Like he was reprocessing everything he'd heard in Travis's previous meetings. I held his gaze. Calm, steady. Then I said, just loud enough for the front row to hear, "Oh, that must have been the version I originally wrote. Guess it didn't get fully updated. A pin could have dropped in that room." Travis stiffened. You could feel his confidence evaporate. He fumbled to click forward, but the damage was done. The tension in the room was thick, a cocktail of awkwardness, suspicion, and realization. He mumbled something about having to fix the slides later and wrapped up the presentation early. No applause, no questions, just murmurs and exchanged glances. He left the room immediately. 2 hours later, HR emailed me and asked if I had time to clarify some things. I walked in, handed over a neatly labeled folder, and said, "I think you'll want to start with page 2. The head of HR flipped through the printouts silently. Every watermark, timestamp, Slack thread, and version history was laid out in black and white. That was the first time I saw someone from leadership look actually shocked. It was also the first time someone believed me. But I wasn't satisfied with just being heard. I wanted this thing documented by the end of that week. Things shifted. HR looped in the IT department to start pulling internal logs. They checked access histories, document versioning, metadata, all the forensic breadcrumbs I had already laid out. But they had the authority to dig even deeper. Turns out, I hadn't even scratched the surface. They discovered that Travis had not only modified shared decks, but had also deleted files that originally had my name on them. He'd gone into old folders, renamed projects, and in some cases, completely removed me from collaboration threads in Slack. It wasn't a one-time mistake, it was a pattern to my surprise. Some team members started coming forward, quietly, carefully. One left a sticky note on my monitor. "I always knew this was yours. Glad you're speaking up." Another pulled me aside in the hallway and said, "We just didn't know how to say anything without risking our jobs." The more HR dug, the more they found. Travis hadn't just stolen credit from me, he'd been using the same tactics for months, pulling ideas from junior staff, exaggerating his contributions, even forwarding emails to himself and replying as if they were fresh drafts. Meanwhile, Travis stopped coming into the office altogether. He started working from home, citing stress. Which was ironic considering how much he thrived in attention before. But the whispers began. People started asking questions. Some avoided talking about it altogether. Others started watching me differently, not with pity, but with a kind of cautious respect. Then, 2 weeks into the investigation, my manager called me into a closed-door meeting. "We may need someone to step in and take over his team." "Temporarily," she said. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just said, "Let me know what you need." It was a Tuesday night, past midnight. When I got the message, I'd been falling asleep on the couch, half watching reruns, when my phone buzzed. It was Travis. "You know, I only did this to protect the family reputation." I blinked, rereading it twice. He followed up with another text. "You getting sick put everyone in a tight spot." I stepped up. "That's what family does. We're stronger as a team, right?" I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. Then came the kicker. "If you withdraw the complaint, I'll make it right. I'll even tag you in a post, give you full credit. Let's just stop this before it gets uglier." There it was. Not remorse, not accountability, just desperation wrapped in manipulation. He didn't care about the truth. He cared that the walls were closing in. For a brief second, I almost responded. Almost typed, "You're unbelievable." But then I stopped. Instead, I opened the message thread and took clean screenshots of every text, cropped, timestamped, archived. I even backed it up in 3 places, one cloud, OneDrive, one email to myself. The next morning, I walked straight into HR and handed them a flash drive. "This might be relevant to your review," I said. They read the texts in silence. No one said a word, but their expressions said everything. That was the final nail, not just in the case, but in whatever illusion Travis had built around himself. He thought he could guilt me. Thought he could gaslight his way out, like always. He didn't know who I was anymore. I wasn't the quiet, dependable one. Not now. 2 weeks later, HR wrapped up their investigation. I was called into a meeting room with the department head, the VP, and the HR lead. They didn't sugarcoat anything. We reviewed all the evidence. We also interviewed several team members. "It's clear you were the original contributor behind the project." They didn't say Travis's name. Not once, but the decision was clear. "We're formally offering you the senior manager role, effective immediately." I nodded, calm on the outside. But inside, I felt like I was standing on a cliff, finally breathing after nearly drowning for weeks. There was no ceremony, no confetti, just a crisp HR email, a time-stamped contract, and a quiet apology from the VP. We should have seen it sooner. I didn't gloat. I didn't post about it. I didn't even tell most of my coworkers. I just asked them to update the org chart. Then got to work. But something shifted in the office. People started treating me differently, not because of the title, but because of the way I handled everything. I wasn't loud. I wasn't petty. I documented the truth and let it speak for itself. But even with the promotion in hand, I wasn't done, because there were people outside that office, people who'd believed Travis's version of the story. Family members, friends, former colleagues. People who saw his rise and thought it was earned. They didn't know what really happened behind closed doors. So, I made a decision. One last move. And this time wouldn't be hidden in HR folders or private meeting rooms. It would be public. I sat at my desk on a quiet Sunday morning, staring at the blinking cursor on LinkedIn. I wasn't trying to be vindictive. I wasn't trying to destroy him. I just wanted to tell the truth. So I wrote a post. Simple, honest, unnamed. During a difficult recovery period earlier this year, I stepped away from work due to a medical emergency. In my absence, a colleague presented work I had developed over months as their own. It took time, documentation, and courage to challenge it. But I'm grateful that my company took the matter seriously and made things right. Then I attached screenshots, redacted where necessary, but clear enough to make the timeline obvious. Time-stamped slides, Slack excerpts, email headers. I never mentioned Travis by name. I didn't. Have to. The post went semi-viral. Dozens of connections shared it, tagging it with words like integrity, corporate justice, and standing up for yourself. I started getting messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Then, the comments started rolling in, and that's when things got ugly for Travis. This sounds familiar. Had a similar experience with him at previous company name. Wow, not surprised. He pulled something like this back in 2020. Karma finally caught up, huh? Turns out, I wasn't the first person Travis had STEAMROLED within 24 hours. He deleted his LinkedIn profile. Gone, vanished, like it had never existed. Meanwhile, my inbox was full recruiters, old friends, even clients reaching out to say they were glad I finally got recognition. Some offered to meet for coffee. A few asked if I was open to new opportunities. For the first time in years, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Power, not the flashy kind Travis chased, but the kind that comes from telling your story and letting the world see it for what it really is. If I thought the professional fallout was intense, I wasn't prepared for what happened at home. It started small. A few cousins messaged me privately. "Dude, we always knew something was off about Travis. Honestly, we're proud of you. You handled it better than any of us would have." But then came the phone call from my Aunt Travis's mom. Over what? A promotion. I didn't argue. I just let her rant while I stared at the ceiling in silence. She said I'd embarrassed the family. That Travis had made one mistake, and I'd chosen to crucify him for it. That real family protects each other. And I realized she didn't care about right or wrong. She cared about appearance. Travis was her golden boy, always had been. Even as kids, he could do no wrong in her eyes. He'd lie, cheat, manipulate, and she'd still defend him like he was some misunderstood genius. Some relatives stayed out of it. A few unfollowed me on social media. Others started posting vague quotes about loyalty and family betrayal, clearly aimed at me. I skipped the next 2 family gatherings. Didn't have it in me to sit across from people who thought silence was more noble than truth. But I also didn't regret anything. For the first time in years, I felt peace, not vindication. Peace. I wasn't carrying anyone's weight anymore. Not at work, not in the family, not emotionally. I didn't need everyone to believe me. I just needed to believe in myself. And I did, now. I'd spent years being the dependable one, the quiet one, the one who swallowed injustice to keep the peace. But that version of me, he was gone. It happened months later at a mutual friend's wedding. I wasn't even planning to go. I'd RSVP'd, maybe told myself I'd skip it to avoid drama. But something in me said, go. Show up for yourself. The reception was buzzing. Lights low, music loud, drinks flowing. I was talking with a few old college friends at a round table near the dance floor when I felt someone step up beside me. I turned, and there he was. Travis, dressed sharp, as always, but thinner. The usual spark in his eyes. Gone? He cleared his throat. Everyone at the table turned, quieting instinctively. Then, In front of 6 mutual friends, some of whom knew exactly what happened. He said it. I messed up. The room felt still. Like the volume had dropped just for this moment. I took credit for work I didn't do. You deserved the promotion. You deserved the recognition. I'm sorry. It was rehearsed, polished, probably premeditated, but it was loud, public, and it was his voice, not mine. Owning the truth, I looked at him, held his gaze, and with every eye watching, I said, "It's handled. That's all." Then I turned back to the table and picked up my drink like the conversation had never happened. Because by then, I didn't need revenge. I didn't need approval. I didn't even need the apology. He gave it to save face. But me, I'd already moved on. The job title didn't matter anymore. The family drama didn't control me anymore. What mattered was that I stood up when it counted. I spoke when silence was expected. I told the truth when it cost me. And in the end, the best revenge wasn't taking him down. It was still being here, standing, respected, free.